Someone made a really good point about this Christine David storyline that we should enjoy because we get to see the kids. We get to see so much of the kids. And that's a great point because one of my favorite things about the show that we have lost over the years is seeing the kids growing up and developing their personalities and becoming young adults and all that. And I, of course, fully respect any of the kids that have chosen not to be included. We saw Logan and Michelle a tiny bit in the engagement party. But there's a number of them. We know that Leon is asked not to really be in the show, although we saw them in the background of the wedding special. Dayton, we haven't seen for a few years. I assume it's the same thing, but we don't actually know. But somebody was like, you know what? I'm enjoying these scenes because we're seeing so much of the kids. And when I got that perspective, it made it a lot easier for me to enjoy these scenes because I loved seeing Hunter holding the kids. And I thought it was actually legitimately hilarious when he went over to Christine and David's table. And he was like, oh, that looks good. And they're like, well, you should get some. And he's like, no, I'll just take this. And reaches out and takes David's food. And David is begrudgingly annoyed. He's like, oh, I don't get this family and sharing food, which made my husband absolutely cackle because he also does not like sharing food and I do. And so it's kind of been one of those kind of jokes between us. Sometimes now he'll share food with me, but he's still more of why don't you just order what you want and then eat that? And I'm like, because I want everything. Let's order 6 things and I'll share it and everything. But I also think it's a sweet thing because, for years and years, they told us these are all my kids. I love all these kids. They're all my children. That's the reason of polygamy. And what we're really seeing is that promise fulfilled with some of these kids who, it's still clear that most of the kids still see their primary parent as their biological mother as their primary parent. But they are very close. It seems like Janelle is really close with Christine's kids, and Christine's kids are close with Janelle. And we don't know too much. We don't know where Mary's child fits in because they've asked not to be in the show. But from what I've seen, they've shown up in quite a few, Instagrams, and we saw them in the background of the wedding special. So, and there was just a picture of Gwen graduating with Leon, them hugging and stuff and saying congratulations. So there are still some of these relationships. I know not all of them are perfect, but it just seems to be Robin's kids who are being left out. And it breaks my heart every time because I don't believe that these people have said we hate Robin's kids and we never want to see. It's far more complicated what it is. It's a frustration with Cody, who he's now trying to say it's all about Robin, but it's a frustration with Cody and his inequality of time and resources. And in some ways that does involve the kids because what they're saying is you stopped being our father to be more of a father to these other kids. And that's a frustration, but they're not saying in general, I don't think most of them are saying these other kids are bad. I think with the exception of when the kids trot out stuff like, why are you being so mean to my mom or something like that? I do think that many of them it is justified to say things like, your mom's not always right. And there's these problems with things. And I guess Hunter is sort of, that if Robin's going to blame any of them, it's going to be one of Janelle's children, because boy, does she have a beef with Janelle. And especially it seems like the older ones, like Maddie and Hunter seem to be a real point of that. Remember when she said that Cody should be reaching out to her grandkids, but it's also Maddie's fault. And then Hunter was the one who said something like, hey, if the kids don't know who we are, one Zoom call is not going to fix it, which is objectively true. Anyway, so I'm watching these scenes and I'm really focusing on how excited it is to see Isabel and excited it is to see Aspen and even Lil Truly and people like Hunter who show up and all of that. And so I don't know, maybe that'll make it easier for you to watch these scenes too, because otherwise my husband and I just sit there and go, oh, I wonder if they're going to make it to the wedding. I wonder if they're going to get married. I wonder what venue they're going to pick. I wonder what dress they're going to pick, which is of course a joke because we already saw it. So anyway, another way to view these scenes.